It is, in fact, evening. I forget because it's still beautiful and sunshiny, and
it's afternoon, pal. Come on.
It's 7:30.
It is 4:30. The light is still shining on my face in beautiful Los Angeles.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the show. My name is UltimatDJz. I know, Juby. Oh, my God, a podcast. It's been years. It's insane. Do I even remember? No.
He actually just fell on the keyboard and accidentally started the stream.
I did, but I do remember that it's not a show without a traditional talking track server sound off. You guys hit it in the chat. Noon Whistle kicking us off on server 29, Enterprise Actual on 13, Dr. Phil on European 401, Scalyback from the Outback on 193, Tulin on server 42. Oh, wait, that's the answer to a different question. Juby on 60 and 61, Jason Cash on server 13. What's going on, Benny Hill on server 42. Tycon on server 33. Surtail on 36. Good evening, Scradalorian on 9. Spectre on 11. Counselor Hef says, burn it with fire. Surtail on 36. Good evening to you, Floyd on server 21. Norwich on 35. Jonathan Wick on 14. Daystrokes on 32. What's going on? Chris Son of Mac on server 40. Silvertab also on 40. John Drill on 32. Scala on 22. Wirespeed on 89. Papa Smurf joining us on server 61. E Double Sharp on 22. Engineer on 89. Mini Shamu says, I'm quiet relative to the music. All right, I'll try again. How is that? Are we better? Skawa says, folks excited about Galaxy Quest? Yeah, they are, but it might be excited one way or the other. Like, there could be excitement, Griffin, whether it is from, and good evening, by the way, hello. It could be excitement from rage and frustration. It could be excitement from anticipation. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight and allow you guys to sound off. This is a particularly special show in which we are live from Culver City. We are here. We are in the halls of Scopely HQ, able to sound off and talk, and as we've done a lot today. And we're going to be taking a lot of your feedback back directly today, and we are going to allow you guys to sound off tonight. This is a special community roundtable edition of Talking Trek, and you guys will have an opportunity tonight. So be sure to have your microphones ready. The mods are prepared. If you have to, if you want to raise your hand and come up and talk, we are going to allow that to happen today. And you guys will be able to come in and actually sound off in what is our first podcast that we've done in quite some time just because of travel schedule and so forth. But I invite you guys all in. We are simulcasting on Twitch. Hello to our Twitch audience where there is a hype train going on over there. Unfortunately, I can't make Griffin green because he's on the same camera that I'm on.
That, you dumb sucker. It is an historic podcast on the heels of an historic day within the Star Trek Fleet Command community, DJ, because never before have we seen something released 2 weeks in advance in terms of information coming into the game, and it is definitely a first on many levels. And we're here to hear not only what you think about it, but to just see it, take a temperature, the overall mood of the community tonight.
I think also it's going to be really, really nice for us to be able to have a little bit more of a deeper conversation. We were on the clock earlier today. And also, listen, completely being fair, there are some times that I am going to be a little bit more playing the game than other times. There's going to be times where I'm going to be a little bit more political or a little bit more tempered in my approach or reaction or conversation, because I have a business relationship with these people. And so this, I think, adds Scopely's encouragement. Like, we talked and said, hey, listen, I feel like we need to spend more time on this tonight.
And none of them are in this room.
They are not here.
It's you and it's me, and it's you at home. So we're ready to talk about what's what, who's who in the zoo, how you feel, how we feel, and move from there.
And we are going to be able to break it down a little bit more tonight and talk a little bit more in depth and get some of your all's reaction. Scopely has intentionally, not because they weren't willing, but intentionally said they would like to give us a little bit of space here tonight to actually have a community interaction with you guys and break it down a little bit. They did offer to be here, and I think we all agreed and felt that an opportunity for us to air out some of these concerns and air out some of these points that the community was making earlier during the live stream YouTube chat. A lot of those deserve conversation.
They indeed do,
really
because it is a first on many levels. And so we're here to talk about it tonight. I just hope they didn't send the bartender home, because I am hoping to have an MGD draft right here as we get into it.
Absolutely. I would like to very quickly also, if I am pressing the buttons properly, we are live with our mobile studio, so I would like to very quickly just do a couple of introductions. Good evening, Commanders. UltimatDJz here. Just in case you forgot what I look or sound like, because it's been that long, that is me, your lovable, furry cat commander. UltimatDJz, joined here by my friend and partner.
You're not furry, because I'm rubbing elbows here. This guy has no skin on him whatsoever.
No hair on my skin.
Oh, you do have
very
skin.
slimy, sweaty skin because it's hot as Hades out here. But hi, everybody. It's good to be back with you. Thank you guys so very much. Yes, I know, Tarpitude. I have no skin. That's kind of weird.
No, they might not recognize me because I'm not green, you jerk.
And my partner and friend Griffin is here by my side. We are here in beautiful Los Angeles, California, in Culver City, and broadcasting live today on location. Let me get a little bit of our promotional props out of the way. Shout out to where we have stayed pretty much every time we come out here. It's a wonderful facility, always very, very nice. It is, if I'm not mistaken, a Hyatt property.
I believe you are correct.
A Hyatt property. We are staying at the Shea in Culver City, and shout out to these wonderful people who have allowed us to take over their Lido deck.
Just like the Royal Caribbean. They don't ask questions. We just come in, we set up a computer.
Said, here's all the stuff that you guys need. Here's cables.
Here's a power strip.
Yeah, and they cordoned off a section of the pool deck for us.
The pool is right behind us, right here.
Yeah, we've got some beautiful green shrubbery and stuff here, but maybe a little bit later I'll shove him in the pool so you guys can see some of that.
You can't do that because there's actually people out here sunbathing who might not want to be on live stream. So there'll be no shot of you seeing me get dunked in the pool. Just get that right.
Yeah, so but we do want to thank all of our listenership. The month of July has been a little bit crazy with our content as I was traveling and he was doing some work and traveling. And just thank you guys for sticking with us and being here for this very special week of content. Obviously, we had the YouTube official STFC stream earlier today, doing a community roundtable reaction tonight. Also tomorrow, doing another podcast. So you're going to get 2 in 2 days. Tomorrow, an actual podcast with Arc Runners, event design, and other Scopely staffers from inside Scopely HQ.
A virtual bevy of guests.
That's right.
Not one named Bevy because they don't work there, but everybody else will definitely be a part.
Have plenty of those. And we'll be doing those that show tomorrow, I believe, at 4 p.m. Eastern time is when we're scheduled to go live from inside Scopely HQ.
So like 5:30?
1 p.m. Pacific time.
So like 5:45, 6?
No, that's we'll do it. Papa Smurf saying, how is Landon? He is well. He is here with us on this trip.
He is.
And as is Noah and Oliver. I decided to bring all the boys. So they are here, and they are probably, listen, I made a mistake today. And as we were setting up here and telling them that we were going to do a show for a little bit, may or may not have accidentally indicated to the restaurant manager that my boys just could have an open tab and order whatever they wanted.
You did say that. My eyebrows were raised. I've seen the server go over there about 7 times already. So
one of them, I wish I could see. Oh, it's gone. The plate is completely empty. They brought a cookie, a chocolate chip cookie the size of my head with like 4 scoops of vanilla just piled on top, vanilla ice cream just piled on top of it. It's gone.
It's the way to go.
And that was their second plate. It was the second one. So been a lot of fun that we have been able to have here in Los Angeles. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the craziness that happened with the travel and all that stuff a little bit later. But I know what you guys are wanting to get to and talk about here today.
Well, before we do, we should set the table, DJs, because there are people who are part of our channel who might not have subscribed to Star Trek Fleet Command on YouTube or might not be as active on Discord to know. So I'll catch you up. There was a 1-hour live stream from Scopely HQ earlier today that DJ, you and I were a part of, and Beck Likes Plans moderated this event and invited us out, and we thank her for that profusely. But we definitely saw a lot of firsts. We talked about new ARC content 14 days in advance because what's coming in the next iteration of Star Trek Fleet Command, patch 69, is something unlike we have never seen before because it is not technically something, DJ, within the Star Trek universe at all.
It is not Star Trek. And that is the #1 comment that we saw all today. In the Discords, I've been blown up with it. We talked about it even on the stream, and here I can be a little bit more forthright with some of my reaction and opinion. And a lot of people didn't really – I don't think a lot of people really paid attention to a lot of what I had to say earlier today. I think just because I was on that channel, people were like, shell.
DJz is paid by Scopely.
But I don't think they actually heard what I was saying, which was, I share your concern. When Scopely came to me months ago and said that we were going to cross over with Galaxy Quest, my first reaction was, oh.
That Galaxy Quest, the 1999 movie with Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver,
Listen, great movie. I like the movie. The movie's fine. We watched it. Community, you guys voted for it here just, a month and a half ago for a Discord movie night. You guys liked the movie. We liked the movie. I don't think that is in doubt. I think what's in doubt is, does it belong in our game and in our Star Trek game? So when I said, and we talked about this on the stream earlier today, when I said Galaxy Quest is not Trek, that is when Scopely came back to me and said that thing, what they said today about canon, about the fans making it canon. Now, I don't know if that's a real thing. Let me first ask the community, and I'm looking in the chat.
Oh, Shinjo, nobody said that. He says, they say you literally said someone wasn't a Trek fan if they didn't like Galaxy Quest or the addition of Galaxy Quest in the game. You said this. I don't understand the pronoun. But I don't remember you saying anything about that.
I did not say that, Shinjo. And see, that's what I'm talking about. There's been a lot of people saying what I said. Go back and watch it. Clip it and send it to me, okay? Because I did not say that. What I did say is I do believe Trek fans like Galaxy Quest. Whether or not it belongs in our game is a totally different subject up for debate. I'm not questioning whether or not someone likes the movie or not, okay? Not also caring whether or not you like the movie or not. I agree and share your concern about whether or not it belongs in the game and in a Star Trek game. And that was something that we talked about. There were a couple of highlight points today that caused me to raise my eyebrow a little bit. One is just the introduction of Galaxy Quest into the game
itself.
The other, I think, was something that the community kind of latched onto, which is just one or two specific quote lines that kind of were hot buttons throughout that. Like players and viewers got offended by a statement or a line that was made today, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So we've got a lot to dissect and break down. Okay, but let me clarify why Galaxy Quest, at least from not a perspective of decision making, but why that IP. Paramount owns it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Do they also own Transformers? Yes. Do they also own Dora the Explorer? Yes. Do they own Inspector Gadget? Yes. Okay. Yes, these things happen. Okay. I don't think it's a wild stretch for them to have thought that a Star Trek parody, and let's be fair, that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
A Star Trek parody is the closest thing to Star Trek that they could have done a crossover with into the game. So I'm fine with that particular mentality as to why they chose that. Some people have said, why not Star Wars? Here's the obvious answer. Paramount doesn't own Star Wars. Disney does. All right? Disney owns Star Wars. And Disney doesn't play well with Paramount. I mean, they have their own separate streaming services, their own different libraries. They're two different competing entertainment companies.
They're direct competitors. But they probably thought that, and how close can we get? And this property that we now see in the game coming in 2 weeks is definitely that. I mean, you've got some A-list actors like Sigourney Weaver. When I think of her name, I also think of the Aliens franchise. Seeing her in a Star Trek Fleet Command game, to me, and I don't want to get ahead of the curve, but, it's not all, it doesn't belong here. But what if? The question that I ask you watching at home today is simple. What if? What if one franchise crossed over and met another franchise? And we're about to find out in 2 weeks.
And see, this kind of comes back. All right, so Stradalorian says, what about Doctor Who? What about Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Okay, Spaceballs, parody of Star Wars, but not owned by Paramount? Spaceballs is owned by Paramount.
I would have to look that up, but if Spaceballs were owned by Paramount,
I think that it actually is.
May the Schwartz be with you. I would love to see that in this game.
All right, and Spectre, who's inside the industry, kind of correcting our verbiage. Not technically correct that they own it, but you're right. They have licensing abilities. They have licensed the property that they are the ones who are allowed to distribute it. It's the same kind of thing where we talk about this whole, all right, let's break into Disney for a second, because it's been a hot topic over the last 10 years.
Just like you broke into Scopely and stole mugs today again. Spoiler alert.
They're going to be listening to this, so we don't. I might have gotten.
You have an opportunity to bring back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow.
Had gotten my hands on a couple. Anyway, let's talk about Spider-Man, Sony, and Disney.
What a convoluted web, for lack of a better term, that is.
And it's a very similar kind of thing of what you would be referring to with Spaceballs. And not only that, but it's a parody of Star Wars, not Trek. So not, again, a similar property. I think that Battlestar Galactica, I think the Transformers, I think that some of these others, they could potentially make their way into a crossover style event at some point. But here's the thing. What is the definition of a crossover? And this is the first thing that I want to actually come in and ask the community. All right, so we are going to come in, and I'm going to start with our panel. If you have raised your hands to come in on the stage here in Discord, then I will be more than happy to bring you in and let you ask your questions. Sound off, all right? That's right, Mission Impossible. Somebody asked earlier today about Family Guy. Fox, right?
Fox is Disney.
Fox is Disney, not Paramount. So we look at some of these things, and there are obvious reasons. I understand why people are saying, why not this, why not that? Well, the first and number one obvious reason is, do they have the ability to license it? All right? And Paramount, who is largely in control of the content of this game, or at least has a very large say-so into the content of this game, is going to be the one to decide what makes it into the game and not. All right? They can absolutely come to Scopely and say, hey, we want you to promote ABC product. We want it to be done in XYZ timeline. And then Scopely has to come in and find a way to make that work. So I have no doubt, it's not been shared with me, all right, but I have absolutely zero doubt in my mind that Paramount had everything to do with this content making it into the game, being is that there has been a ton of rumors about the refreshing of this season and all this stuff dating back years. As a matter of fact, we were talking about this just earlier today while we were having lunch. There's an article that is literally no less than 6 months old talking about this show still coming back. Now, Alan Rickman passed away in 2016, but as of 6 months ago, they're still talking about trying to bring this show back. Now, if they confirm that to us, no. Have they confirmed that to anybody publicly? Absolutely not. But why does Paramount want this being promoted right here and now? I do believe there's a reason for it, and maybe there's not. Maybe it's just fun. Maybe it's just the 25th anniversary. Maybe they're wanting to do some fun stuff this fall. I don't know. But I do know that it's more than just Scopely saying, hey, let's just be crazy.
Well, Paramount historically, and Star Trek specifically, both, have always enjoyed celebrating their anniversaries. We have the 30th anniversary of Voyager coming up next year. There's a whole cruise about it. And there are plenty of examples of that. So the fact that this is the 25th anniversary of the film may, in and of itself, be a reason to put a spotlight back on that franchise and to get us to spin it up again on Netflix, or wherever you watch that, and have a view. But is it accidental? Is there more coming? To DJ's point, the rumors have been around for years, and people would love to see something with this franchise new and cool and exciting. And I argue, if you are one who believes that, then why not this and why not now? Because one thing that Scopely has under its roof, whether you like it or not, whether you click through them or not, is an amazing, incredible narrative team. And to think about the stories that could be told between Space Quest and Star Trek, like it or not, just open your mind and ask what if. What if you saw the stars, quote unquote, of the Space Quest film on the bridge of an Enterprise, driving it along? I mean, if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yeah, Sorry, I could not keep in the fact that he just laid down a hint of something that might be coming. So, listen, I am not going to spend a bunch of time defending why it's in the game, all right? Because like many of you, I actually do question it, all right? I question the sanity of it. I question the intent of it. I question
the sanity of it?
Yes, because I think, listen, my first reaction was it doesn't belong here. I do think it's crazy. That being said, if powers that are way beyond you and I have said this is what's going to happen, then it puts other people in an unfortunate situation in which they have to come up with a way to make it work. I mean, everybody's got bosses, right? And bosses say do this, and we got to do that. Now, I want to be super, super clear because, again, just like earlier today, people are going to take a lot of what I say out of context. You had to talk me off a ledge earlier. I was very bothered by all the hate comments.
He is such a sensitive kitty cat.
I was very sensitive today.
He was like, that the song that plays in the background of all the sad reels on Instagram, like with violins and stuff. I wish that I could have taken a video of just the scrolling and he's just getting sadder and sadder and sadder. Poor DJz. I had to go over there and give him a hug.
I did. I felt rough about it. Mainly because I felt like people were nitpicking my commentary. I understand why it's here. I understand that there was probably not a lot of choice in the matter. I understand why Paramount is doing what they believe to be the right thing or the right promotional move or the right marketing move or this or that. And I also understand the players who say this doesn't belong in a Star Trek Fleet Command in Star Trek Fleet Command's game. This does not belong in a Star Trek game. I do understand that perspective because, as I mentioned to you earlier and Beck earlier, and even today earlier, I said on the air, this was the exact reaction that I had several months ago when this was released, and I said, I don't feel like this is going to be a good fit.
Well, that opinion is valid. I'm not invalidating anybody's feelings, and I respect them. But I'm reminded of when Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, came out, and everybody didn't like Jar Jar Binks, but the larger point being made was this is not part of Star Wars canon. It doesn't belong here. That character, whatever the case may be. I was always in the camp of I love the franchise. More is never necessarily a bad thing. I could find a way to enjoy it. And this is more Star Trek Fleet Command content, whether or not you agree with the skin. Big Red Clifford or likes, I forget your handle, I apologize. We said at the very beginning that this franchise belongs in Star Trek Fleet Command as much as DJ Oki does. But that's exactly the point.
DJ Oki is there, right?
Right.
I mean, he's there. So, I mean, yeah, that's actually a really fair point. I don't know what side of the table you're arguing from, but you're absolutely right. DJ Oki is in the game. All right. And to Scribbler's point earlier today, there's a lot of non-canon characters that are in the game. The Borg Tribble, Scopely Creation, some of the ships.
Plenty of ships.
Yeah, there's a lot of ships. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. A few moments ago, I did invite Dr. Juby to the stage from Server 60 and 61. We'll talk to him here just 1 second. I do want to come to the chat very quickly and again, point out that Star Wars will not be a crossover.
I was simply making the point of I remember how people felt, and I felt back in 1997, you had the 4, 5, 6 redone, and that was blasphemy to begin with. I loved them.
By the way, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And then 1, 2, and 3 come in. Oh, it's not canon. This is not how the story's supposed to go. I read the books, and it shouldn't be that way. I respect that. I respectfully disagree, but I do respect your opinion, just as I do this.
The
but
great
it's more
Magoo,
and better content.
The great Magoo points out the Orville would have been a better match. First of all, I don't. Yes, probably. All right, but still not Trek. A. B. Owned by Fox, which is Disney. Okay, so you're not going to get the Orville, just like you're not going to get the Family Guy. I did see this in the chat all day long today. It seems like if the community was going to embrace a crossover, seems like Family Guy overwhelmingly won the popularity contest today. With the most desired crossover was with Family Guy, getting Seth MacFarlane involved.
I can't believe that nobody that I've seen yet, and I am drawing a blank, so I apologize, but you guys know right away. The 1 season and done Fox show that had the actress who plays in The Mandalorian, what's her name? What would it's like a cult favorite, and they did the movie
Firefly.
Come on, Firefly. Thank you.
You know,
Firefly
actually,
would be
seen
great.
That. Yeah, I've seen some people talk about
No.
that.
But again, that's Fox.
The better crossover is go with something Gene Roddenberry made. Andromeda, baby. Let's get
well,
Space Hercules in the mix.
Karkin joining us on the stage. Appreciate you being here. Let me start with the panel. Karkin, let me ask you, what is your definition of a crossover? When we're talking about crossovers, do they need to be from the same galaxy? Do they just need to be from the same genre? Can they be from the same producing studios? What is your perfect vision of a crossover?
Combination of similar universes combined with like same genre types. Like I would say universes, but then you have your DC/Marvel crossovers that could happen.
Well, that's actually a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned, because we see even right now, even though it's not a huge stretch because of the way that they've played the Deadpool universe, but you've got this brand new blockbuster movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, that are coming out, which do technically exist in the same universe. I would actually, you know what, a better example would probably be pointing to the DC, or not DC, DC property, but the CW series of shows with Green Arrow and Barry Allen's The Flash and Supergirl and The Legends of Tomorrow. These don't even exist in the same timeline, yet they manage to perform crossovers narratively well. We've talked about the CW being an amazing run of shows.
I'm sorry, the what?
The CW.
The CW?
Has an amazing run of DC shows. DC can't make a movie worth crap. I'm just putting it out there. Sorry. All right, I know we're in Hollywood. Somebody can probably hear it. DC can't make a movie. But, man, their TV run on the CW network is phenomenal. It is excellent, excellent writing with everything tied in together perfectly. Yet, those properties, Karkin, don't exist in the same universe. Okay, you've got all these different Earths. And look at what Spider-Man is doing right now within the MCU. You've got the cartoon Spider-Man into the multiverse, a totally different set of Earths and a different universe, if you will, from the Tom Holland version. So you've got all these different galaxies and different universes that exist, yet these crossovers and these types of combinations still work. So I come back and say, if Galaxy Quest is not a fit, what is a better fit? Juby, you've been waiting patiently on the stage. Marauder, if you're still here, I'll bring you up on the stage here in just a moment. You guys are welcome to raise your hand. Let's start with this conversation. What is a crossover?
Well,
Juby?
I have Webster's before we go to him. The definition of a crossover is right here. It's a type of vehicle that has some features of an SUV and other features of an ordinary car. You should know that. Isn't that your day job?
Oh, God. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll go with that. Juby, let's come to you. Your definition of a crossover. Does Galaxy Quest belong in STFC?
Before that, I just want to say welcome back, DJs. It's been a while. All of
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Griffin definitely has a Jar Jar Binks tattoo.
He does.
Don't put that on me. I was simply demonstrating a point, Juby.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, hand me that big glass of purified H2O, would you? Thank you. Look at these pretty...
would you be quiet and let Juby talk?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Juby. What do you got?
Well, for a crossover, it's just a basic crossover where two franchises collide. We've seen it before many, many times on TV. We've seen it in Star Trek, not on the TV scale, but in the comics. If you guys remember, there's actually a Star Trek Transformers crossover where the Enterprise transforms.
Yes.
Which was, so you can always find a way to do a crossover. I'm sure the arc's already done, so you've probably seen the narrative, how they're going to do it. My hope is they do it properly. I like what Griffin said on the live stream about the narrative, hoping it's not the actual captain. It's the actors playing the people. That would make it a lot more fun. To me, this seems like it's going to be a nice, fun, campy arc that's going to be really cool for the franchise.
So what I can tell you, based on the information that was released earlier today, Beck leaked the officers to you guys. If I'm not mistaken, Juby, and you guys can correct or go back and look, but the name of the officer was not Taggart, whatever his name was, it was Jason Nesmith.
Yes.
Sorry, that was the name of the officer. Was indeed the actor. It was not the Taggart character that he played.
Called it.
So, yeah, these the officers, at least the ones that we saw today, have their actual Galaxy Quest movie character names in there, not the roles that they played in their show, but, Jason Nesmith.
The actor's name, if you will.
That.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hopefully this sounds like it's going to be another remember when Lower Deck came out and everybody
Scribbler's telling me I'm wrong. What was the name? I could have sworn it said Jason Nesmith, right? No? Scribbler's in the chat. She was there. She saw it. So
we're getting Tim Allen?
Yeah, we're not getting Tim Allen.
It's not the actual actor's name. It's the actor's name who was in the film. But remember, it's a movie within a movie.
That's true. Now, I will also point out Captain's Log. Is that actually correct?
What?
That Star Trek is doing a crossover right now with World of Warships, which I did actually hear. So
yeah,
I don't know.
In the game, they be doing. I think a month or two ago, they were doing that.
Yeah, there's a Romulan little submarine graphic.
Okay, Scribbler is saying that Madison was Lieutenant Tawny Madison and not Gwen DeMarco. But see, now was it Jason Nesmith? Wasn't that the officer name and not? See, again, we're going to have to dive a little bit more.
Speculation abound. But the point is that Juby agrees with me and not you, so that's one strike for you.
Just watch the movie.
Hopefully everybody's going to remember when Lower Deck came out, everybody was complaining they didn't want this in Trek and everything. But the point is, what if this is just a fun arc that people enjoy? Then it doesn't matter if Galaxy Quest doesn't belong.
Which
Star
is
Trek.
something that I said earlier today on the show, that I would be more forgiving of it if it was that, Juby. I would be more forgiving of it.
I'm agreeing with you.
If the utility improves my gameplay, if this is something good for the game and how I play it, then I am more forgiving of that. I've always been a little bit more forgiving of narrative. You know who hasn't, for example, is Bubba Joe, for example, has always been a huge advocate of the narrative and how things fit into the game. He was a huge fan of artifacts and how that actually fit into the game. So I think that he would probably not be as happy about this news. On the other hand, I know he likes Galaxy Quest. So maybe he would. I don't know if he would find this fun or not. It just, from that kind of perspective. But I do know that narrative is super important to some people, and utility is super important to others. So I think that depends on what you look for here. I did, Juby, kind of get the feeling, and I mentioned this earlier today, and I can probably go into not any more detail, but a little bit more about the feeling that I got when speaking with game design and the arc runners and the event designers, that it is designed, or at least what they're going for, is to be light, fun, quirky, and a little bit of a relief. I'm even expecting that the events are going to be simpler, and I am expecting it to be not necessarily a lighter month. Please don't misunderstand, but I think we're expecting something not so intense, not so grindy, not so much all stakes in. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I haven't played a whole lot of Mirror Waves. I've been on vacation, then traveling here. I have not been playing Mirror Waves, not nearly like I should be. But that punishes my progression, right?
Indeed.
If I don't play it, then I'm not getting those rewards, and there's certain things that I can only get, and blah, blah, blah. In this particular case, what I think is what's going to happen is that we're going to see an arc that has a lot of engagement and should feel fun and light and fluffy, and not something that is going to require or punish non-engagement or this or that. That's just the feeling that I get. I should also be super clear. When I say I've seen the arc, what you guys have seen up to this point is only a little less than what I know up to this point. I have not seen event design. I have not seen a calendar. I have not seen conversions, refineries, bundles, values, rewards. I haven't seen any of that stuff. I only know what we're going to be doing. And like I always say, it could be really great. it could also be ruined by implementation and revenue goals. So I don't know what to expect here.
You
And that's
just
kind of what I
never do
said earlier.
until it goes live in the game.
That's what I said earlier today. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I think that implementation and the utility in the game and how it's going to be accessible to everybody is going to play a huge role in whether or not this content ends up being good for Star Trek Fleet Command and whether or not it's justified the Galaxy Quest has made its
Well,
entrance.
is it fun to play, and does it help me with the game is really what it boils down to. But I want to highlight a few more comments here in Twitch. Deli Meher, I'm sure I'm saying that correctly, says Galaxy Quest is in the Star Trek universe. It was a show in the 80s of the Star Trek timeline. Since Star Trek was not a show but a reality in that universe, Galaxy Quest was kind of their Star Trek. So it's kind of like an Inception thing.
Okay.
But that's exactly the point that I'm making.
That's a stretch, but okay. We'll go with that. I saw Jules Verne on the stage here a moment ago. I think he probably had to bounce, but I would love to get him back. We'll come to Jules Verne here in just a second. I see you, buddy. We'll come to you. You got some more comments from the chat. And then again, I would like to remind you guys, for you guys to come up, you are more than welcome to raise your hand, come in, and talk about your reaction. What are your feelings on this? Is this a crossover you're looking forward to? Does it fit your mental narrative of a crossover?
And it really depends on how much you truly buy into the concept of there being a mirror universe. And there's no accident that this content is coming out right after the introduction of the mirror universe, because the whole purpose of the mirror universe is to question reality and what happens in this reality versus that reality. What better way to bring in a crossover ship from another franchise than something having to do with the mirror universe? So I'm sure that in some way, shape, or form, the two shall intertwine. And I'm excited for that, too, because I'm enjoying playing through the mirror universe. You haven't done a lot of the waves yet. I love the rewards. I love the mechanic, and I love how the loop is paying out, which we will explore, I'm sure, on a future podcast. But one thing for sure is that the concept of the mirror universe, not just the feature of the wave itself, but just how the mirror universe is integrating itself into the game, it will continue to expand. It is a big part of 2024 Star Trek Fleet Command going into 2025. And I encourage everybody who is not yet really engaging in the MU to get on board, cross that bridge, get over into the 40s so you can really take advantage of this content before it's too late.
Stealth Monkey does point out that the mirror universe is kind of a magic key for Scopely, because the mirror universe opens the door to the multiverse.
A magic key, like my Disney annual pass?
Yeah, and Captain Bull reminds us that many years ago, non-canon, TNG and X-Men did a crossover.
Indeed, they did.
They did. That was the thing. Coming to the stage, Juby, by the way, thank you very much. Jules Verne, Server 44, Dragon Keeper, I see you. I'm going to bring you up. Yes, I would like you to come on the stage, because where we are in the sunlight, I'm doing my best to read chat, but I am missing some of it for sure. I acknowledge that, because where we're broadcasting poolside. We're on it. By the way, shout out again to the Shay at Culver City.
Thank you, Shay.
Who has been taking very, very good care of us since we've been here, and hopefully not going to charge me for any of the cookies that might.
Oh, you're paying for them all.
Probably. But they did offer to bring us a little bit of food later, so maybe we'll show you off something amazing.
Will they be punching by?
Possibly. And I am going to order a drink here in a little bit, too. You guys are going to get to see us have a little bit of fun. That being said, we will get to a lot more of that. But I thank you, Juby. Appreciate that. Jules, welcome into the show. People love and respect you, Jules. I would imagine, and I'm gonna kiss butt here for a second. Jules, I would imagine that not since Ripper has the community single-handedly surrounded themselves with the comfort of your reaction, your analytics, your math, and your attitude. People trust you in a way that I haven't seen since Alex.
Unequivocally.
And it's because you have always been so analytical. You've always been so about the math, and you've always been point blank. You even came out and said, listen, I'm not feeling Intended Kira. You said trash. I watched the video. You said it's not worth it. I don't know what Scope is going to do about it. I don't know if it's going to end up fixing anything, blah, blah, blah. That's a conversation for a different day. But you came out and you weren't afraid to say it. You said it on day one. This officer, no good.
Well, mine's tier 3, so take that, Jules.
Jules, the community trusts you, so I believe that the question that I'm going to ask you is going to be unfair to you, but one that probably is going to be influential. Jules, where do you fall on what the definition of a crossover is?
I see the crossover as the blending of fan bases. And I think the purpose of a crossover for on the business side is to take multiple fan bases and bring them together, and narratively tying that together in a fantastic way. This is one of those few points where I believe the Venn diagram between the fans of Galaxy Quest and the fans of Star Trek is heavily interacted. There's a large intersection where you have Star Trek fans and Galaxy Quest fans. So this is probably the best possible maybe that means the board's working again. There's only one way to find out.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm not on.
Why are
Oh,
you
I
not
hear him
on?
now.
Can you guys hear me?
No, the Orion's far away.
So why does your mic not work now? I'm back. I'm back, but Griffin's not back.
What?
We have sound, but no video.
Spare cable.
Sound? Oh, there's video. Yay.
Yeah, no, I did that. So my board just
No, it's his AC adapter, and I have a spare AC adapter, but
It could be a heat issue, DJs.
it is hot.
we're under an umbrella.
We are under an umbrella, but it's still hot.
You gotta get a fan on that thing.
No, it's fine.
Just blow
Talk
on it.
to
Whoever's
on
not
that
talking,
thing.
just blow on it.
Blow on it.
Check 1, 2.
Blow on it.
Yeah. Like a Super
Just
Nintendo
give it a hot
cartridge.
tour.
2 on it.
There you go.
Don't spit on it. Please don't spit on it.
Just spit on that thing.
You can't hear me?
No, you're not coming through now for some reason. We just fried my
Get
board.
one of the boys to come earn their cookies by blowing on the.
Dude, we literally just fried this board. Is there warranty on this thing?
You're expired.
I need my warranty's expired.
There's no
We just fried the board. The board is fried.
Go to channel 4.
Okay.
Please hold. Someone will be right with you. Who even knows how those channels are routed? Number 1.
I know what I'm doing.
That was a good parody.
Shush.
Is this
I
a
know-
parody of a stream?
This is where DJs pretend.
Hello.
All right.
Okay, see? He fixed
Dude,
it all.
I just lost. Yeah, we blew out an XLR port.
That's not my fault. And you
The
already had
whole
one blown out
thing.
when you got here. You're welcome for having a spare AC adapter cable.
Thank you, Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh, not you guys.
Glad
Him.
you had that. Why is that not working?
You know what happened? He turned off the mixer and tried to end the stream because now he's 0 for 2 and I'm 2 for 0 with guests who come on agreeing with the fact that this is actually a good addition to the game.
That's not what Jules said.
He just said that.
No, that's
Yes,
not what
that's
Jules
exactly what he said.
said. That
Well,
is
let me
not
clear
what-
the record.
Yes, Jules did not say that. Go ahead, Jules. Clear the record. That was my water.
I did say that.
Wait,
because I
He
do
did say that. You see? Griffin was right again.
No,
Griffin
he
was
said
right.
that there is no business reason that this makes sense because the audiences are already the same.
You are divorced from reality. Why don't we just pot down your mic and we can let Jules talk. Jules, go ahead.
I think that what I was suggesting is that the fan bases of these two different properties intersect enough that it makes sense that they are going to be together and they're going to be a crossover together. I think like a show like The Orville's is more representative and alludes to Star Trek, but isn't directly based on the Star Trek performer history. Like what happened after the original series was portrayed in this movie with William Shatner as the lead character being overly bossy with his co-host or with his co-performers. So I think
Boy,
that this
where
is,
does that sound familiar? That's really
I know how you
scratching
feel,
an itch
Griffin.
in the back of my mind. I don't know where the connections are intersecting with each other.
Claims Adjuster
I'm feeling
wants
it.
to argue that point, though, and I think it's fair. Galaxy Quest does not have a huge fan base compared to Star Trek. When was the last Galaxy Quest convention? This is not the
But
attempt.
we're not talking about size. I mean, we were talking about Spaceballs and Star Trek. Do you think that the fan base of Spaceballs and Star Trek are the same? That's not the same thing.
If anyone's a proponent
have
of
to
size
be
doesn't
the
matter,
same.
it's you.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah. Okay.
I do want to say one other point is I love that Scribbler brought up characters in the game that are invented by Scopely. There is so many Star Trek characters that do not exist in canon that Scopely just made up. What if they decided to make up a parody version of Star Trek and put it in this game? And if there's just different characters, different ship, it didn't really matter. Would we accept it more because Scopely designed it versus a written narrative that was put on by another creative team.
Correct, from a franchise that already exists. See, you stumped the band over here. Look at the look on this face.
No, but I accept that point. We have been more accepting of that in the past, like T'Pring, right? The gas miner.
T'Pring, yes.
I mean,
not a character.
any of the Borgified characters.
What do you mean T'Pring's not a character?
T'Pring, but not that likeness. Not when we first had it. She's a Strange New Worlds character now.
Wasn't T'Pring Spock's wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, but not when the game first came out. She was a Strange New Worlds character later on. Was T'Pring in TOS? Was she, okay. She was in TOS. I didn't think so.
Point. Well, let's go back to DJ Aoki, that made-up character.
Yeah,
Borg Triple.
DJ Aoki, any of the of 11s, the Borg of 11s, none of them are actual real characters.
Yeah.
They've been Borgified.
5 of 11.
By scope. Many of the Augment and Outlaw side characters do not exist in canon. So
Yes.
there is a lot. There's a lot of characters that have been added. Ships, as we've mentioned, have been added. Lots of stuff has been added.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Sorry, and I'm still somewhat distracted looking at things that could have gone wrong over here. I'm very
And while you're
frustrated.
distracted, I will now say that DJz was right in
Thank you.
saying that the impact to the game has yet to be seen. Even
Bingo.
myself, I don't know what the impact of whatever content comes out is going to be. You know, we all know it's going to be new hostiles, new loops, new missions, new things, but we don't know if that's going to help the game or hurt the game. And ultimately, the success of a loop has very little to do with the IP and a lot to do with the impact to the player.
I agree with that. Coming to server 56, and Jules, definitely feel free to hang out. We've got more of your comments coming. E Double Sharp will be up on the stage in a moment. Coming to server 56, everywhere it matters. Talking Trek panelist and crew aficionado. This should be a particularly interesting one for you. You are the officer guy, right? Mainly for utility, as we like to talk about, but you know officers better than almost anybody in the game. Where are you with incorporating these officers that have never existed inside the Star Trek universe?
I mean, from a story standpoint, from a lore standpoint, it doesn't already. The utility of the
Putz, is that you?
Putz?
We can't hear you.
Hold on, let me ring up my analog phone, and we'll come back to matters in a second. Hey, Tiberius, thank you for the raid. Raven in with 37 Tiberians, appreciate that. And do want to say, just take a quick second to acknowledge all of our audiences today. Thank you for the podcast audience, the YouTube audience, the Twitch audience, where we've got 280 some people right now. Thank you guys so much. I don't have sound alerts on. We had a hype train earlier. I thank you guys for that. I appreciate your support, and thank you guys for being here. Sorry that I missed some of the stuff that we would typically do on a Twitch stream as well.
One thing you missed before we go
appreciate
on,
that.
I got to point this out. Silver Tab 78, look at that comment.
The Omega 13 forbidden technology. I mean, if they're going to do something like that, that's the perfect way to do it. That would make sense.
I love that.
Tiberius, thank you very much for your raid. Appreciate it. We were kind of coming in and talking a little bit about the announcement earlier today and whether or not Galaxy Quest actually ultimately does belong inside of Star Trek Fleet Command. Let's come to server 22. E Double Sharp. What's up, my man? Welcome to the stage. What are your comments?
So I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I just was thinking, you know, parodies. Everyone's talking about it's a parody of Star Trek. Well, so is Lower Decks.
Yes.
It is 100% a parody of Star Trek that contains so many Easter eggs, but because it kind of exists in the same universe, it's a little bit of an easier slip into the door. But I'm just going to come down to I'd like to keep an open mind and see how bad they screwed up.
I think that's fair. Now, I do want to hone in on something you said, because I think that hairs would be split with this. While Lower Decks is, by definition, probably a parody, it is still Trek. That is something that I brought up earlier today, Double Sharp, and I got lambasted on the YouTube about that, because I did bring up Lower Decks as one of those features or one of those IPs that was brought into the game at a specific time for a specific marketing reason by the Paramount overlords because it was corresponding with their launch of their next season on Paramount Plus. And the one thing that they said, Double Sharp, was, oh, well, Lower Decks is Star Trek. So if you're saying that Lower Decks is parody of Star Trek, even though it exists inside the timeline, again, this comes back to the question we started with. What is a crossover?
I told you it's a vehicle that has enough space to not be a compact vehicle, but also have the features of an SUV.
Lower Decks did appear in Strange New Worlds. That's fair. But so have the Transformers. Technically, throwing that out there. All right. Thank you, Double Sharp, for your comments. Appreciate that very much. Spectre, come on up. Tell us a little bit about what you think, and then hopefully we'll get Matters back here in just a moment to see what we might be able to come up with there. But thank you guys so very much for your continued participation. And again, if you're listening, whether it's in Discord or Twitch or anywhere, feel free to come over to the Discord where we do have our audio routed in. You can raise your hand and we'll try to get you on the stage. Spectre, Server 11, you have been very vocal today. You're not a fan. Tell me why.
Hey, Spectre.
I mean, I'm trying to be neutral about this. I really am. The thing that's really interesting to me, this is going to be the first, what I believe, I could be wrong, and I'm not perfect here, is the first Star Trek property, a primary Star Trek property, that has ever had a crossover with any other Paramount property. So I'll be very interested to see how this moves forward. And I'll just say to Paramount and Scopely, this would have been perfect for an April Fool's arc, and you missed the boat, unfortunately, on that. But,
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think that is an unfair or inaccurate statement. Let me ask the community a couple of these crossover style questions. You had mentioned earlier that players have tolerated other non-canon introductions. You and Jules talked about that. Is there any property at all that Scopely could have come out with today that would have been better received?
Well, going through the Paramount catalog, off the top of my head, I can't think of one because most of what they own the rights to are Nickelodeon, and that's what all of those shows come under the umbrella of. But this is a space opera, just like Star Trek. Is it the same franchise? No, obviously not. One is the parody of another. Nobody contests that.
Prodigy wouldn't be a crossover, Kurt, because it's in the universe. Heck, you've got Admiral Janeway, who's an active character in that. So I don't know that qualifies.
I'd like to
what
see
would have
SpongeBob.
been a better crossover? Can't do Wrath of Khan. Now, listen, if you want to talk about stuff in Star Trek that Scopely and Paramount could do, there's a million stories left.
This is the one comment that I do agree with, because if my favorite movie or franchise had not yet been, let's say I were a big Prodigy fan or a big Wrath of Khan fan, and here comes something outside of the universe before what I've been waiting 5.5 years to see and play with, I feel you. I would agree with you. But that's not a lot of what I'm hearing today. More of what I'm hearing today is so it just doesn't belong because it's not a part of the club. And that I can't get on board with. But yeah, if you want to see Wrath of Khan, or if you want to see Prodigy in there, and it's like, hey, what gives? Why is this before? However, Beck did tease for over a year that we would see a crossover this year. And here it is. It's halfway through the year, and this is the crossover.
Yeah. Why the need for a crossover, Wilson? I think they just wanted to try something. And again, I think that there was more than just creative reasons to do this, and more motivation from the studios to try to put something like this together. That being said, I kind of come back. I mean, yes, I agree. There's a lot more Star Trek content that we could be
and will see.
Sure, that we could be and will see, hopefully, over time. Why this particular break? And I think we've kind of answered that question sufficiently in other parts of the stream, even earlier today. So I don't know if it makes sense to rehash that answer. But that mentality is why I'm with you guys. That mentality is why I've said everything that I've said today, that it just doesn't quite feel quite right. But then neither does pineapple on pizza.
What are you talking about? I have you on video enjoying pineapple on pizza, on the cruise, on the ship.
I was not
back in
enjoying
February.
I ate it on a dare.
You ate it and smiled.
I smiled because of how bad it was.
Okay. Anyway.
That sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, but that's joking aside. That's kind of what we're talking about. Two things that shouldn't go together, right? That might turn out to be good and might turn out to be a disaster. Very much like pineapple on pizza. Just throwing that out there. Andy says pineapple on pizza works fine. Other people say it's a sin. You know, I get it. All right. Blacken says, how about one with Dora the Explorer? I'm full on with that. We were actually joking today with Hammy because somebody had mentioned that on official Discord, and he ran with it. I think it would be hilarious. Hilarious if that had been the joke.
That is on the far side of the spectrum of being okay asking what if. Because the gate can be wide open at that point. This, at least, is a space opera and a space sci-fi franchise. It's parallel with what we're already doing.
My point is, would there have been a crossover that would have been better received by the community? And I don't think that answer exists.
Beavis and Butthead, that is Paramount.
That is Paramount.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Also Paramount.
You can't do that on television. Say, I don't know, and you slime the people?
Oh, yeah, the green slime thing.
Yeah.
Babylon 5, says Moopsy. Is that Paramount? Babylon 5?
I don't believe so.
I don't think it is. That being said, yeah, Back to the Future. Now, they probably could have done some cool stuff with that. Probably. I don't know.
That would have been cool.
That probably could have been a little bit fun. But I think that is where the audience lost their mind today. It's not about the game. It's not even about the crossover itself. It was just the knee-jerk reaction that Galaxy Quest is not Trek, you know. And I think a lot of people feel like, based on the comments and the DMs and the conversations that I've had throughout the afternoon, I think a lot of that stems from, call me crazy, and this time I was a part of it, maybe the communication was slightly off point.
The communication.
Yes. Not that we got it early. Not that anybody did anything wrong. But people were looking for Star Trek in this. We were teasing the upcoming arc. People were expecting Trek. This is not what they got. It was a surprise. It was a knee-jerk reaction to not the fact that, hey, we've been talking about a crossover for a year. The reaction was, whoa, 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 it's not Trek.
Well, again, back to the definition of what a crossover is. If you're teasing a crossover, then in my mind, I automatically do not expect Star Trek. And that's, I think, the point that you're making earlier, what crossover would be a better fit. In order for it to be a crossover, it would need not be a Star Trek franchise in the first place. So again, we're talking about a crossover. Maybe the fact is that it should have been promoted better as a crossover leak that was coming. We didn't know a crossover was coming. We didn't know it was today. So maybe that's the point that we can make. And maybe that took too many people by it back. But sitting here thinking about it,
I do think there was shock factor today,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the whole reason that we're even out here. The whole reason that Scopely brought us out here to do this was because this is the big shock factor. And I think, Spectre, you said this earlier, and I agree. Tarpy's coming up to the stage. She said it earlier, and I agree. There was a reason that this arc was premiered early. There was a reason that we were brought to Los Angeles for this premiere. And I think it's 100% accurate to say that Scopely knew that there might be some initial reaction that might be a little bit weird or a little bit off here. But when we actually calm down and think about it and say, okay, how does this actually impact our game? That's what we're going to be concerned with, is the game, right? What does this do? Like, at the end of the day, Scribbler mentioned this earlier, nobody cares that you've got Harry Mudd on the bridge with Tendi or whatever you would have, Khan with James T. Carr. Nobody cares about that stuff because it's how the game works. So
Correct.
That is what I think, in lieu of not being able to talk about the mechanics of the game, this is the reaction. And I think that this is going to be taken out of context, so feel free to clip this. Get ready, guys, if you want to throw me under the bus. This is where I'm okay promoting Galaxy Quest as an idea in this game. I am open-minded to the fact that it's going to be here. What matters to me is what it actually does to the game. And that is going to matter. Andy is right. What is coming? Is it a loop? Is it a hostile? Is it a ship? Who knows at this point? We don't know anything. This could be the best mechanical loop to ever come into the game. Not saying that it would be, but it could be. And we're too busy talking about the IP.
The skin itself. I mean, Andominus Prime here writes, who cares what the property is? I play the game for game mechanics, which are unique to any mobile game I have ever played. And as long as the new game mechanics are solid, I am a happy customer. Well, that and in-game stability, which we agree with. But that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make there, DJs.
Waffly says that they figured people would be upset, so they're using y'all to shill for them. I don't know that that's super fair, Waffly, because they have actually allowed me to be very candid with my comments. And I'm going to say it now for the third time. They can absolutely foobar this, okay? My pass or fail judgment is going to come in what it does for the game. I agree kind of with what Prime just said. I am not concerned as much with narrative. I am not concerned with the skin. Do you guys remember how much grief everybody gave Scopely when the Ferengi, you guys called it the butt cheek head cover art, was on your game for 2 months?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like, there were so many people upset about that cover art that was on your phone. Every time the game loaded for 2 months, you had butt cheeks. All right? And the other people said that about Lower Decks. Well, I'm loading a phone game, and it's got a cartoon on it. My coworkers think it's stupid. We are looking at this from an aesthetic point of view, which matters less to me than what it's going to do for the game. And we don't know that yet, Waffly.
But to be fair, that's all we have to talk about today. And so, of course, the focus is on that. Does it belong in the game? What does it look like? How do I feel about the crossover? These are all valid questions, and your opinions are as valid as mine and as DJ's and as anybody else's.
Dundish, I would have, that, by the way, that might have made the most sense of anything, is Halo.
What is Halo?
Halo would have been great. Tarpy from Server 70, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. What's going on, Tarpy?
So I was just thinking for timing wise, I'm glad they're communicating. I'm really glad that they're actually like letting us know this early to kind of break us into kind of what's coming next month. But we just started a new territory pass today, so I feel like communication wise, we probably expected that rather than next month's stuff. So that might be where some people's kind of irk or ick is coming from is, hey, we just got this other new thing and some other stuff, and now we're talking about next month already, and we're not even done with this one.
So are you saying that this announcement gave you the ick, or are you open-minded for what's to come?
Oh, I love Galaxy Quest. I quote it all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, it's that guy whenever I see any of the actors from that in anything else. And so I'm excited for the skin. I just love the movie, but
Tarpy is excited for the skin.
Is.
I could not agree with you more.
I want to see what the mechanic is, though. Like, that's what matters more.
Do we think that today's announcement has been a little bit tainted by the fact that people hate territory? I mean, is that possible?
We're already just in a mad mood. You know, I will say,
is that a thing?
Right before the live stream went on, there was like a system-wide lag outage at like 9:58, and we're all sitting there. Oh well, the game's down, by the way, and we're about to go live in 3 minutes. Maybe people were grumpy about that too.
Yeah.
Oh, it was super funny. Literally, right before you guys had a bunch of tech problems, there was a bunch of lag on my server, so people were like, "I got booted out of a wave," and then all of your shit broke. Sorry to swear. So. It was like perfect timing.
Yeah, territory. The reset happened today, but there are no waves today. Or I mean, waves. There are no takeovers.
Well, there are no takeovers.
But people
today,
got kicked out, and people got raided too. I know that because you couldn't. People who were still in there,
President Company included.
I moved out. And
I want to say hi to Jonathan Ingram's YouTube followers. In case we're on the YouTube now, hello. He has not logged in the entire day in front of me, so if we are, we might actually be. Hello,
I put
YouTube.
up a shield. I put up a shield, a long one.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, so the rating and the stuff was yesterday. Okay, see it. Maybe that's the thing. John says, "Spin this all you want." I'm not spinning anything. People today, man, spin this all you want. The majority of players who have spoken up today hate this. Show me your scientific data.
I disagree. With
Only
that.
the angry people talk.
Yeah.
This is a community.
Of course the majority hate this.
This is a community through no fault of my own or I would say DJ Zone, that people love to compliment in private and criticize in public. And I was a victim of that just 2 weeks ago, DJs, when I took over for you for a day. And I interviewed a city enhancer, and we had a great conversation about what was going on with the Mirror Universe. And we answered 13 of your questions out there. And just the chat was on fire with how toxically optimistic I was being and how I was not flaming him and roasting him. But then I got 100 direct messages about how great the stream was and how everybody loved it. So that's what this community does.
I don't disagree, though, John. All the Discords have been very, very warm today with the fires that are roasting in the corners, ours included.
What's the name of the app again?
Huh?
What's the name of the app again?
Discord.
Oh, what a surprise.
Fair enough. So I don't, and again, this is kind of what I said earlier that people continue to take me out of context on whether or not it belongs in, whether or not it deserves to be a crossover, this or that. I mean, if you're going to do a crossover, then this is eligible. I think that's just what. I don't remember this much controversy when Scopely said they were going to do a crossover. What were people expecting? Let me ask that question. When Scopely said a year ago in the roadmap, we're going to do a crossover, what were people actually expecting at that point?
I think everybody who complained today forgot. I'm not kidding. They just didn't. There was a blind side today.
Today, I mean, this has been anticipated, or at least the crossover event has been talked about for a year. So,
well, Robotsky asked, why is there a need for a crossover? And I'm sure your point were to continue would be there's plenty other Star Trek IP to bring into the game that you would rather see than a crossover. And I understand your point, and I agree with your point. However, we just heard DJ say it's been over a year that they've been saying there is a crossover on the calendar in 2024. What did you expect? It'd have to be something, and now here it is. So I think that it was just a blindside today, and the knee-jerk reaction was to be negative, which I understand. But today, through our scientific bringing people up on the stage, so far a lot of cooler heads have prevailed, in my view.
I still maintain what I said earlier today, is that I'm reserved about it. I still don't know if it's a good idea because the implementation is going to matter. Like, let's talk about I'm not saying that this would be the case, all right? But let's talk about what if the ship comes out and it's free to everybody and actually has a good use? What if the officers came out? What if, again, call me crazy, what if Scopely came out this month and said, hey, listen, this is a celebration arc. We've had a great 5 years. We've hit all the revenue goals, and this month is all about the players. Utility-wise, we're going to run all the catch-up stuff. And again, crazy. We're not going to sell anything. We're just going to throw content in your face this month. Would people still be upset? If the answer is yes, then fair. If the answer is no, then your issue isn't with the IP.
No, it's with the backbone of the game.
Sarini says, check DJs for a fever. And by the way, I'm not saying that that's what they would do. I'm trying to put it in perspective of what is it that we're actually mad at? Is it that we don't trust them to actually implement an arc that's not a money grab or that works or is bug-free or glitch-free or not, something just for the whales? I mean, if those are your complaints, valid. Is it because of Galaxy Quest? I don't know if that rage is valid. I think it's more along the lines of some of the concerns that we've had for a long time in this game. Just, is the game going to play well?
I think we're worried about that every month, and we are trained to worry about that every month. And I think Scopely is trying to get better and better at that by going further and further and further ahead of launch date to educate us about what's coming. Who out there has not enjoyed learning in advance what's coming in the game? I love it because I don't like the surprise the day of, and plus, by the way, it doesn't work.
By the way, I do want to point out, if I can, I'm going to slide this over very quickly. Captain Bull has actually shown me the actual comic book of Star Trek and X-Men.
There you go.
You guys can actually see this. He actually has the book. This was a real publication, a Marvel comic publication with Star Trek as a crossover. So, again, some of this stuff may seem and feel really foreign. It might not be as foreign as what people might believe
or
possibly. You know, I don't know. Call me crazy. Thank you, Bull, for that very much. I appreciate that over in the Discord chat. Coming in, and I'm going to check on your comments a little bit more. And I don't know, how long have we been on? We've been on for almost an hour and a half, and this is probably about what we wanted to do today was an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours very quickly. So I would like to, again, invite you guys to the stage. We'll read some more of your comments and see what it is that you guys would like to sound off on here today. Floyd says comics aren't canon. Dude, now I'm not going to go so far as to say Star Trek isn't real. But STFC's not canon either. Okay? I'm not going to... That was a very... that was a highlight today. There's already memes about that.
Something that I learned today from Scribbler is that according to Gene Roddenberry in the 80s, the Star Trek original series cartoon was not canon, according to him.
That's true. TOS, the animated series, TAS, was not considered canon in the very, very beginning. It's become adopted as that over time, but it wasn't originally. And so, you know, when we look at STFC, for example, we also need to accept that STFC itself is not canon.
Correct.
All right. A lot of people that are fussy about canon probably don't truly know what the actual definition of canon is. And I don't want to get into that, just saying that before we fuss about what's canon and what's not, there was a large chunk of the original Star Trek universe that wasn't considered canon. No novel that's ever been written. And we know that there are some great ones out there, like Imzadi.
Great ones.
Some great novels out there that are not canon, including, I might add, the Mirror Universe in the comics. Buff Picard, Inquisitor Troy. These didn't exist in the Mirror Universe that...
But that doesn't mean that they're not enjoyable.
Exactly. Just means that they're not canon. Inquisitor Troy is not canon. This is a creation by the comics that Scopely is now bringing into the game, but it's not canon. All right? So this game is not canon. And I think that is something that we need to be real careful about when we're screaming about canon. There's a lot out there that we probably love that is not. Claims Adjuster in the Discord chat says, a crossover is when TV shows crossover from the same franchise. For example, SVU and Chicago PD, like all from a Dick Wolf.
Well, that's
same
an example of a crossover. That's not wrong, but they don't need to be both need to be a Dick Wolf production to your example in order to be a crossover. Like Chicago Blue could have crossed over with ER if they were on at the same time, and that would have been a crossover.
Flash crossed over with Supergirl, but they were on different Earths, different franchises. They wrote a reason for that to happen. Just saying.
Heck, even one time we saw Monday Nitro on WWF Monday Night Raw. That was a crossover.
True. So I mean, yeah, that's but yeah, that's true. That's what people thought. So am curious about that, and would like to invite you guys up for a few more of your comments while we still have a few moments. And before we get ready to go, I don't see anybody with their hands up. Putz, let me try to come back to you. What's that?
How's my dial-up connection?
Matters, you sound pretty good. Give me 1 second, though. I just invited Rooster up to the stage, although he hasn't accepted yet. So let's go back to Server 56. Everywhere it matters. Talk to us a little bit about your perspective on this whole thing. You've seen everything break out today. We've talked about it for the last 90 minutes. Where do you fall on this? You interested? You not interested? You waiting to see? Where does Matters fall into place on this?
My far less than humble opinion on what we found out today is that I had no opinion on it whatsoever.
There you go.
It matters not
Yeah.
who the officers are, what their names are, what the picture is, how many Star Trek episodes they've been in, if any. I want to see what's coming in the game. I want to see what's being added as a feature, what these officers' abilities are going to be. It doesn't matter to me one lick who it is or why, whether or not they're even Star Trek people.
So Matters is coming in here basically going, where's the fire?
Who cares?
And I agree.
Yeah, that's not an unfair perspective. A member of the community that you love to hate, Moopsy Seth, is on right now. What's going on, buddy?
Moopsy, you dirty subscriber at the last second leaderboard stealer. Thief.
Yeah, no, listen, you broke that truce, okay? I'm pretty sure that was something that you did over there. But I would like to. I was looking for the Moopsy button, but I don't think it's on this stream deck because we're in a different place. Ladies and gentlemen, Moopsy from Server 63. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to the stage.
Hi.
Looking forward to seeing you in Nashville in a couple of months.
So excited about the Galaxy Quest because we like to do the things with the hands.
I love it.
I am doing the things with the hands. Okay. Very good. No, seriously, Seth, we're going to get a chance to meet up with you in September. You're an influential member in the community. Do you see fire here, or are we prematurely? Listen, I'm not saying that there won't be a reason for pitchforks, but do we know that yet?
Well, so I've known about this crossover arc for a while, ever since they accidentally released the assets into the game. So
what? He's a dirty data miner, is what he is.
Oh, a dirty data miner. You're a DDM.
Okay, so this has been around for a minute. Okay, I didn't know about that, but that's funny.
But the hot take was at least in VIP land was me being like, hey guys, there's a crossover arc coming next month. And of course, me with my Babylon 5, it's like, of course, Babylon 5's coming. But oh my gosh, you should have seen VIP chat trying to figure it out for the life of them. And it's like, guys, what's Star Trek that's not Star Trek?
I saw a couple of screenshots from VIP being very critical of me earlier today. So my feelings are still hurt.
Your only feelings are hurt because you're not in the chat, not because of what they were saying in the chat.
They were being mean to me.
Hey, wail harder, pal. And you too can be in the VIP chat.
Oh, God. All right, Seth, thank you very much. Tycon, Server 33, what do you got? Your sound off on the news today. Galaxy Quest is coming to STFC. How do you feel about it?
I hope it's fun. I can't be annoyed at something being included that might be fun. I'm more annoyed by things like the Defiant is a weaker ship than the Enterprise in XO1. That's if that kind of nitpicking got on my nerves in this game, I wouldn't be playing. You got to have a thin skin or a thick skin about this stuff. If it's fun, great. If it's bad, well, that's terrible.
I mean, if it's bad, then there's other things to talk about. Why is it bad? How could it have been better? What are the things that we can do to make it better, et cetera, et cetera? I don't disagree with any of that, but none of that is anything that we know about right now. So I think that's a really fair point. Thank you, Tycon. Didal from server 42. What's going on, Didal? Welcome into the stage. How are you feeling about the introduction of the NSEA Protector and its crew?
I'm actually optimistic. I was thinking that the closest analogy is Lower Decks, and one of the things you haven't mentioned is that they added a new ability that changed the game with the Lower Deck abilities. That was relevant to the show, but a totally new ability for the game.
Right.
And it changed how we play. And it also had some really strong officers. I mean, most people still use Freeman and Fendi and some of the others. So I'm hopeful. Maybe it'll be interesting. We always want something new that's not yet one more, armada.
That's true. And you're right. The Lower Deck series brought with it the feature that month of Lower Deck crewing, which has changed the game. It's been very, very good. So, yeah, that's what I think we're missing. That's the piece of the pie that we're missing at this point. That is going to be a little bit of a challenge for us to be able to analyze this so early. But I will tell you, we are going to have more information earlier than normal, so you can count on us to be able to bring you what we can as time goes on. Didal, thank you very much. Spicy Rooster, Server 21, sound off. Does Galaxy Quest belong in STFC? Uh-oh. We tried once, Spicy Rooster. We had you, and hold on. Try now. Sorry about that, Rooster. You were on mute. Press the mute button. There we go. What's up, man? Welcome to the stage.
Hey, buddy. So to me, this is like dead on arrival. It's looking like it's going to be the end of STFC if they're having to pull from different Paramount products that aren't Star Trek related. We have people on our server that are already throwing 30-day shields, talking about boycotting. it's just they have so many different opportunities to go different ways that stay inside Star Trek lore, and they have to venture out of it.
Do you feel that other shows and movies and all this stuff have the ability to write and create content, episodes, storylines that don't involve them going outside? But as Jules mentioned earlier, sometimes there might be strategic advantages towards doing that crossover, merging those audiences or giving a taste to some of these other products. I'm not saying that they're out of Star Trek material, but I'm not saying that they felt like they had to go get Galaxy Quest for the material because they were out of Star Trek. Maybe they just wanted to do something different. Is that plausible to you?
It's definitely plausible, but I mean, you're telling me with all the other products and whatnot that they have that are still inside the Star Trek realm, they couldn't pick from something else?
What would you have? So you're referring to just sticking inside the Star Trek IP, right? Prodigy or more Lower Decks or something like that, right?
Prodigy, Lower Decks. I mean, they love to revisit stuff. I mean, you could revisit the Augment space. That's due for some kind of an upgrade. It's a very old product.
A product that most of us are done with, though. So what we're saying is refresh that content so we have more to do. I'm perfectly content leaving that content dead, man. I am perfectly content leaving that content done, completed, as in we don't have to go back to it, right? Like, I think that we have to be careful about that sometimes. And I'm just devil's advocate arguing with you here. Not that I agree or disagree, but, like, we don't necessarily want to go back and make old content new again, because that's a part of what a lot of the community has fussed about is getting rid of stuff to do.
To that point, that's what drove Trader out of the game. As soon as she had to do Borg Reds again, that was the final straw. She thought she was done with the loop. Now we're bringing her back into the loop. The month that Talios came out, January of last year, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back, amongst the other few things, but that was a big one. I do agree.
Oh, I understand what
you
you're
can
saying.
refresh content. I get that. And I do agree that there's plenty of other Star Trek to choose from. I do not agree with the concept of, well, that's it. That's the end of the game because we're doing a crossover now, when we've known for a year that there would be a crossover arc. Of course, there are plans in the future for more Star Trek content. I have a good friend who works for the company who has assured me that there is content that's planned 3 months out, 6 months out, 9 months out that they're just starting to work on that all has to do with Star Trek. So if you're on a server out there who is, the rumblings are, oh, this is it. This is Endgame. There's nothing more to bring into the game. Nothing could be further from the truth. And you can take that to the bank. I appreciate the feedback.
There's 100 more stories inside Star Trek that they can tell. And I agree with what you're saying, Rooster, from a Star Trek perspective. And like I say, I am arguing devil's advocate, just like I kind of did on the show earlier today. But I think what a lot of people are missing...
DJ, you're a podcaster and your phone is on not silent?
Sorry. I think what a lot of people are missing is when I go and I actually try to inject my actual opinion, Rooster, it's crazy enough that it is the same as a lot of yours. My gut reaction to this months ago, I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 months ago when I learned about it, my gut reaction to this was, I don't think it's a good idea. And I am still not swayed from that perspective. Okay, let me say that. I am still not convinced that this is a good idea. However, whether or not it turns out to be a good idea will depend on the gameplay mechanics. What does it do for the game? That is what's going to be my ultimate pass-fail. That's where I'm going to sentence this thing, judge, jury, executioner, if you will. That's where I'm going to give it my ultimate judgment, is on what it does for the game. But I am not opposed, which is, again, why people have been very on to me today for shilling this. I have been the only one that has said, I don't think it's a good idea. Okay? I am with you in saying that. But I'm not ready to burn it at the stake, because if it does something amazing for the game, it gets a pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to forgive. I'm willing to forgive the narrative a little bit if it does something amazing for the game. And that's what I'm waiting to see.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, because in Scopely's mind, they're probably trying to grab another subsect of players that aren't Star Trek players and bring them into the game, but at what cost? because you're going to have diehard true Star Trek fans that are going to look at this and go, why am I going to play a Galaxy Quest arc? And like I said, I have people in the Ops 60 plus range that have already set 30-day shields and just said, well, I'm not buying battle passes. I'm just going to wait and see how this all turns out.
Yeah. In fairness, that happens.
Well,
on occasion.
I want to.
I mean, I see, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm saying people say they quit every month, and then they don't typically because the content turns out to not be as bad as what we expected it to be, or not as what we feared it to be. But I mean, when Lower Decks came in, we heard the same thing because it was a cartoon, and so there has been stuff. You know, we said the same thing when Freeman broke PvP all over again. Oh, the game is over. The game is ending it. Listen, let's not pretend that Scopely doesn't give us potential temptations into quitting the game forever. Literally every single month. They're teetering right there on the edge as to what is going to keep us engaged versus piss us off. And they do practice that balancing act. But I don't see the numbers reflected in hordes of people abandoning the game every month like we typically are used to seeing in Discord.
Let me leave you with one question, though, that you can look at devil's advocate-wise. What did they hope to gain by bringing in a non-Star Trek IP into a Star Trek game?
Beck answered that question. Okay, sure. Go ahead, Matters.
Because it's silly and fun. Like, why not?
If it ends up being silly and fun. But Beck did say that, Rooster. Beck said that earlier today, is that this is just something that they wanted to try to see if it was going to go over. And they are going to be taking feedback from this. There are other proposals on the table for crossovers, and I think they just kind of want to test the waters on this. Listen, Ripper is immortalized for telling Scopely to be bold. This is absolutely a bold move. Whether or not it pans out for them is yet to be determined, but it is certainly not run-of-the-mill. If you were going to compliment anything about this, Rooster, it would be that they're trying something new. And Beck did talk about that earlier today, just saying, hey, listen, this may go over like a lead balloon. We just want to see. Like, we're going to run this. This is the plan. We're going to execute. And let's see what happens. And it could end up being something that's kind of cool. It might end up being terrible. Who knows?
I will also challenge that this is not a Galaxy Quest arc. This is an arc where we explore how a property, Galaxy Quest, interacts with Star Trek. And if you are not a button clicker, and if you actually participate in the narrative and the lore and the missions, and you give it a chance, and you give them a chance to tell the story of Star Trek meets this crew, this ship, and how do they get together and what happens. I think that it will be based on the experience that I have of the narrative team, which people never really say anything bad about. And in fact, they praise more often than not. I am compelled to see how they tell this particular story. So it is not just a Galaxy Quest arc. It's really an experimentation to see what happens when the two meet. And the one other point that I want to touch on very briefly, DJs, is the point of players who are experienced in their 60s popping 30-day shields today. There are still 5 days left in a current arc. So if you are ready to pop a 30-day shield and tell your server that you're quitting the game, I'll guarantee you it's not because of what you heard today. There are things leading up to today that may tell you it's time to take a break, and that's fine. People do that all the time. But you can't put it on the shoulders of today's announcement that we're not even going to touch for 2 more weeks.
I think today's just the straw that's breaking a lot of people's backs. There's been the last couple arcs haven't been the greatest. It's a mixed bag of people liking and people not liking. There's a lot of 60 plus players that are getting tired of the way the arcs are being put out, all of the bugs, the lag issue, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows all the issues. And I think when you look at this from a different perspective of, with all of the hundreds of Star Trek stories that are out there and all of the lore that's out there, all of the movies that are out there, they're grasping at straws enough to try to keep player engagement by going outside of the IP of Star Trek. And I get what you're saying. It'll be fun and all this stuff. And it's, they're trying to do this. But for somebody who's been engaged in this game for over 5 years, to me, it just looks like they're grasping at straws because they have nothing else to do or they don't know what to do.
I mean,
But
remember
if
the
you got,
mechanic,
if you got
the
people
temple,
quitting always, try something different.
the mechanic, the temple, the features are their shotguns are loaded, you guys. It's just the skin that you choose to put on the game that changes from month to month. So I see here in chat, somebody says, you missed that there are those of us who care more about Star Trek than the game itself. This is an insult to those of us who feel that way. I'll raise my hand and say I care more about Star Trek than the game itself. And I don't feel insulted. I feel like, oh, here's an olive branch. People who love Galaxy Quest don't have a game to go play. But now something that they like and enjoy can be wrapped into something that we all love and enjoy, and we might even invite some people in. So is that insulting? Again, I respect your opinion. I'm not insulted.
Yeah, I think insulted is probably not the right word, but it certainly can bring about a perspective of this is not content that I'm going to enjoy. And people felt the same way about Lower Decks. People felt the same way about the Discovery series. And so, you know, mechanically, Discovery is a great feature, or was for G4. And it, I mean, we've seen comments in this chat here today, people disavowing Discovery as Star Trek. So, I mean, I think it's just different strokes for different folks, right? Whether or not you like it. We had the same conversation with Lower Decks about, you know, people liking cartoons and this and that. So I think there is some of that as well. Spicy Rooster, I have absolutely loved the debate. Of all of the conversations we had today, I appreciate this one maybe the most. That was really, really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Couple more very quickly. Server 80 Pixelate, come in very quickly and give your thoughts as we get ready to wrap up here live from Culver City, California, giving you your day one roundtable reaction to the first ever non-Trek IP that's making its way into a Star Trek video game. Pixelate, is this a good thing or no?
Well, I think it comes down to what you were saying, if they're going to be bold or not.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Okay. Because if it's just another loop, if it's just another, is that strep? Okay, thank you. If it's just another loop, if it's just a different skin, as Griff was saying, on, you know, a different IP skin on the same type of introduction that we've had over and over again, I think it could be interesting to use this as an excuse to introduce something hopefully game changing.
Interesting.
But it comes down to, you know, I'm pretty optimistic about it. I love the IP, so it doesn't hurt. But like, if they're gonna be bold, have it do something drastically different. But
so you're saying double down, not only introduce a new skin that's not Star Trek, but really change the game in some meaningful way. That's a very interesting point.
I think so, but I'm hopeful. I love the IP. Could be fun. We'll see.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Make the ship do something more than just kill a hostile.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, we've talked about that for a really long time. Like, what is there to do in the game? Mine, kill armadas, kill triangles. Like, you know.
Now you have waves.
We got waves.
Which is still killing triangles, although it is packaged in a different way. Listen, I like waves, but it is still killing triangles. But now I do like waves. I have been a very big proponent
make the new ship
of waves
more useful in normal gameplay or in PvP, or like not just some new hostile, not just some new system or some new node. Like, make it do something cool, not just a support ship. Like, let's introduce something interesting.
Bold of you to assume that there is a new ship.
It'd be weird if it didn't have
right. It would be a little bit weird, but we'll check it out. Hopefully, we'll see if something comes. Pixelate, thank you very much for your comments. Getting ready to wrap up. Stratolorian is on the stage, and if anybody else has a few last-minute comments that they would like to make, those are welcome here on the stage of Talking Trek. Our first show back in a couple of weeks, and oh, there you go. First show back in a couple of weeks, and it is a doozy. Getting back into one of the things that I actually ultimately loved about the show when we started is that it's really community-driven and letting you guys sound off. I can tell you that there are staffers who are listening. They are very, very intent, which is the whole reason that we are here this week. They're very, very intent on what the pulse of the community is going to be on this. And I think not through any intent or any skewing, I mean, but I think you guys have balanced that out a little bit. Discord looked really, and YouTube looked really, really negative earlier. I do see that there's probably a little bit more optimism that might be hidden in the wings a little bit. But I too totally still understand the restraint or the cautious pessimism or cautious optimism, if you will, about whether or not this is going to help the game. So I am on your side when it comes to that, and I'd be very, very curious as to how it's going to present. Stradalorian, you are muted. You might get the final word if we can get you on stage. Press that mute button, and we'll see if we can get you on. Stradalorian, welcome to the stage.
Hey, thanks for having me on here. One thing I like to point out is this game has been a bit of a crossover for several years.
Yes.
This game was originally built to be a Kelvin timeline game. So this game, since they've added the TOS and the TNG and the Discovery and all that other stuff, because I believe the Discovery was the one that broke that originally.
Yeah, Flash events. Yeah,
Yep.
Flash
So
events and that whole thing. That was the first one.
A lot of this has been built out, and then it's just been added, original Star Trek IP on this for years. Now, yes, this is a bit outside the box, but it's something that's still within Paramount, and so I think it could be interesting, and I'll play it. I'll enjoy seeing how it crosses over. I think it'll be interesting. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to be upset about it, but I think that it's going to be something different. I think it's going to be something interesting. I think it's going to be something to kind of see how this works. I mean, I'm fine with it. I think as an IP.
Okay,
I love it.
And that, Stradalorian, appreciate that very much, getting the final word there. I think that is a great way to kind of leave it. And look who we've got kind of sneaking in here a little bit. The entire show, we have been on this beautiful rooftop Lido deck. Is that, because isn't a Lido deck like a pool deck?
Lido decks are on ships.
Oh, well, we're not on a ship.
We're on the rooftop.
We're on the rooftop.
Spitting distance from Scopely HQ.
Yeah, I could literally throw a stone over there. We are on the rooftop of the Shea, Culver City. And again, super great thanks to the accommodations. Really do appreciate them very much for coming in and taking care of some stuff. And take a look who has been partying hard the entire time that we've been over here talking business. But UltimatDJz is hanging out.
My first time riding a plane. It was so much fun.
It was his first time on a plane.
Nice.
He watched. He insisted on having the window seat so that he could watch and everything. We were flying. Camera.
Oh, what the heck?
Did we? The gimbal probably just died.
It did.
Here, switch it over to that. Oh God, we're gonna make
no.
everybody. We're gonna make everybody sick.
Here, hold
I got you.
Hold it.
Okay, there you go. Oliver, gonna just
Wow.
hang on to the mic. That right there, you can use that one if you want.
Oh, where are we?
Yeah, there you go. That way.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, flipping it around. There we go. Yeah, his first time on an airplane. How was that? You slept on the second one, like most, because we had a layover in Charlotte, and then
Yeah.
our flight was delayed.
But in the Charlotte airport was so cool because they had a gaming area, PS5s, mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, while we're giving promotional consideration, shout out to what was it called? Gameway?
Yeah,
Gameway in
Gameway.
the Charlotte airport. Shout out to those guys. That was actually a really cool,
Yeah.
video game lounge. They had just Xboxes and PlayStations and PCs set up there for
they
people
had- on
layover. It was actually really, really cool.
Candy, soda. It was just
Yeah,
a
all the
lot.
sugar. They had all the sugar. Speaking
sugar.
Yeah.
speaking of sugar, how have you guys done on those cookies? What have you ordered from the restaurant today?
I tried to order a bowl of ice cream with 2 scoops, but apparently they're out.
What about that cookie that you got earlier? Tell me a little bit about that.
So there was one big scoop in the middle. We split it in half, and I would smear mine on my half of the cookie, and he didn't smear his on his half of the cookie.
I'm going to hold this microphone, but I'm going to consistently set it down and forget that I'm holding it. All right. All right. Nuke wants you, Oliver, to steal some M&Ms and from the Scopely offices, and we'll send them over there. Same thing for some mugs. Have you been able to find any M&Ms here today?
Not at this hotel, but I have seen at the Scopely headquarters. Yes.
They've got M&Ms everywhere over there. All right. Guys, thank you so very much.
Sadly, they don't have milk chocolate. All they have is nut.
The peanut ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, no good if they don't have the peanut butter ones. All right, guys, thank you so very much. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you to the panel. Karkin still hanging out matters. Appreciate you guys all in the chat as well. Listen, it's been a good conversation, and obviously a conversation that we are going to continue to discuss over the coming weeks. Just as a quick reminder, that Beck has also promised additional content drops every couple of days leading up throughout this break. So today being Tuesday, we've got another content drop on Thursday, and then I think 2 more planned next week. So what? Leaks. Beck likes leaks. All right, and so a lot more of that is going to be coming, and hopefully we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about the gameplay of this as time goes on. In the meantime, I would like to thank everybody. I hope you guys had a good time here, it being our first show back in a little while. How do you like traveling around? Like, we're doing a live show from Los Angeles. Was this not cool?
Yeah, the thing is, whenever I was... So on the first plane, so we can get over to the Charlotte airport, we were turning, I was at the window still, and I see a giant dinosaur.
It was a cloud.
No, it wasn't a cloud. On the ground, there was like trees forming and some sand.
Somebody planted trees to look like the shape of a dinosaur, obviously.
And it looked so cool, I liked it. I was like, dinosaur.
Yeah, that was that. Papa Smurf asked if Oliver got to meet the Stumble Guys team. In fact, he did.
Yeah, I did.
And
I met Echo, the one that gave me all my skins.
He got to hang out with Echo a little bit. We also shot a promotional video for Stumble Guys and Monopoly Go. At this point, he's got more draw than I do at the Scopely HQ.
I might be making more bang than you are.
There's that.
Security does like me more.
That we're going to have to talk about. We've got some content for you guys. I was detained by Scopely security today while Oliver was given a VIP badge. We're going to show you a little bit more about that coming up.
I made my picture on the iPad very weird.
I'm bitter about it. Guys, thank you guys so very, very much. We are going to get ready to bounce on out of here and get ready. Well, why is that?
You gave me the channel.
Huh?
You gave me the channel, probably.
I gave you the channel. No.
Yeah. Kind of.
No, it's just not working for some reason. I had...
Something touching the back of my leg, but it's probably water because I just
Didn't you put that mic on for?
I put it on... Yeah, I don't know. I was going to play the show outro, but it's not working now.
Wow!
Because things are breaking. So, you know, why? But that happens when we do stuff live. So, appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you guys.
You know it's a beatbox, right?
Why don't we go out on Oliver beatboxing? Is that how you want to do it?
It might be an infinite loop though, so
an infinite loop. All right. Well, why is this so? I'm checking the buttons to make sure. I wonder why all of a sudden that stopped working. See, I'm telling you, man, we did something to damage this board.
Wow!
Yeah, but not on that channel.
Wow!
What are you doing? How about we just go and say thank you guys so very much for being a member of our live studio audience here in Culver City for the live show, Culver City, Los Angeles, California, for this special taping of Talking Trek, a registered trademark and recorded in front of a live studio audience for distribution across podcast platforms everywhere. I am UltimatDJz, your friendly neighborhood cat person saying meow for now.
And I'm your friendly husky.
Oh, no, he took the dog. He took the husky from you.
No.
He did. He made a video as the husky.
Well, I'm a laboratory. Laboratory dog.
A Labrador?
No, laboratory.
Obviously, that is the correct word. With that, we're going to say meow for now. Love you, mean it, everybody. Catch you on the next one tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, provided that this does not continue to blow up more. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye. Yep. See you later. Bye, guys.